Forget every theory you've heard about that black screen. The Sopranos didn't end with Tony's death. It began with it.
They had to put the tube back in.
Goddamn, Junior.
The final season of The Sopranos doesn't lead to Tony Soprano's death. It begins with it. The show's closing brilliance lies in this inversion. Rather than saving a mob boss's demise for a climactic finale, David Chase and his writers commit the subversive act of showing it first, then forcing the audience to live in its echo for an entire season. When Junior pulls the trigger in the season 6 premiere, members only, the bullet that rips through Tony's gut is the real ending of The Sopranos. Everything that follows, his coma, the family unraveling, the business chaos, the faint attempts to restore order, is the aftermath of a death that already occurred. Those early episodes play like a wake in slow motion. Carmela's bedside pleas, AJ's hollow promises of revenge, the family drifting into survival mode. They're the emotional wreckage of Tony's absence. The mob boss has already died. His body just hasn't gotten the memo yet. Chase doesn't withhold Tony's death for suspense. He gives it away and spends the rest of the season dissecting it. That's the dark genius of season 6. It doesn't build toward an execution. It deconstructs the meaning of a man who's already been shot, buried, and resurrected in the same breath. The famous cut to black at Holston's isn't a mystery or a trick. It's déjà vu. The silence doesn't come as a shock because we've already heard it once. Back when Tony was lying on the kitchen floor, gasping for air as the life leaked out of him. And for those still hunting for clues, yes, Tony is essentially dressed the same in both scenes. The shirt pattern nearly identical, mocking the cyclical nature of his fate. The opening and closing of season 6 mirror each other like twin gravestones. The first gunshot was literal, the second metaphysical. Both mark the same event. Terry Winter once confirmed that Chase originally intended the series to end right there, with Junior shooting Tony. Members Only was almost made in America. The death scene we got at the beginning was supposed to be the end.
I'm sorry about what happened with Junior in the shooting, but
Don't mention Junior to me ever again.
Somewhere along the way, Chase stretched that moment into an entire season, an extended epilogue that forces the audience to watch a ghost haunt his own life. The final blackout is simply the narrative catching up with what we already witnessed. The season also functions as a gallery of alternative endings, Tony's possible fates reflected through other characters. Johnny Sack shows the prison ending, Carmine Sr. the natural death,
I love you, Johnny Cakes.
Vito the escape fantasy, hiding in domestic bliss and pancakes,
I'm dying. My heart. Oh my.
Philly Attardo the violent implosion, a mirror of Tony's worst instincts devouring him from the inside. Junior, senile and alone, represents the final degradation. What happens when the body survives but the soul disintegrates? The Sopranos doesn't theorize Tony's end. It shows every version of it.
Get rid of the tube then. Sir.
Even the setting repeats the structure of death. Members Only, that first episode, is drenched in funerary imagery. Shadows, hospital lighting, the sterile hush of corridors. Made in America, the finale, echoes those visuals with brighter colors, as though life itself has gone artificial. The black screen at the end doesn't signal uncertainty. It's the return to the void that opened season 6. And yet the genius of Chase's writing is that he still gives the audience what they think they want, the illusion of normalcy. Tony wakes up. He walks. He eats onion rings. But the show keeps whispering the truth. He's gone. He eats those rings like communion wafers, performing one last sacrament before vanishing into static. Every time the jukebox blares Don't Stop Believin', the irony deepens. Belief is the only thing holding this corpse upright.
They didn't come back with the fever medicine yet.
Season 6 is the autopsy of Tony Soprano's soul. It opens with his body being shot and spends 13 episodes dissecting what's left. The man who wakes from the coma is not the same man who was shot. He's colder, emptier, stripped of whatever conscience or curiosity once animated him. The second half of the season charts his decline into mechanical survival. Gambling, lying, killing, repeating the rituals of his empire without purpose. His recovery is the great cosmic joke of the series. The patient wakes up only to discover he's already dead inside. The supporting characters move accordingly. Silvio's shooting plays as a rehearsal for the chaos that would follow Tony's death. Bobby's death in the model train store, his private paradise of control and fantasy, serves as the grim metaphor for Tony's own derailment. The series kills every part of Tony by proxy: his loyalty, his sentimentality, his illusions of family. By the time he reaches the diner, there's nothing left to die but the body. Even the mob structure follows the logic of decomposition.
They're a glorified crew.
Without Tony, New Jersey doesn't rise. It dissolves. Paulie ends up as a hollow figurehead, the boss of an empty family, an old soldier stranded at the edge of his own myth. The family is independent in name only, a puppet crew propped up by New York interests who can't be bothered to bury it properly. The great Soprano empire is reduced to a technicality. The thematic symmetry extends beyond the mob world.
I'm thinking when you first came here, the panic attack with ducks?
Season 1 began with Tony walking into Dr. Melfi's office, confessing to panic attacks and dreams of ducks. Season 6 ends with him sitting in another booth, chewing onion rings, while his family reassembles around him in silence. The camera shifts, the angles repeat. The beginning becomes the end. The show begins and ends with a man seeking meaning and finding none. For all its violence and bluster, The Sopranos is a story about a void. The void inside Tony. The void that swallows every man who mistakes brutality for control. And finally, the literal void that swallows the audience whole. Chase never wanted to show Tony die. He wanted to show what death means. The blackout doesn't erase Tony. It implicates the viewer. We are the ones left in silence, wondering if we've been dead the whole time too. There's something deeply Catholic in this circular storytelling, a parody of resurrection. Tony comes back from the dead in episode 2, but only to live out his purgatory. He wanders through the remainder of the season as a half man, detached and unrepentant, repeating his sins without conviction.
Yeah, you sure T. You're being kind of quiet.
Remember when he sneers at his old friends, as if the memory of living has become an inconvenience? Even the musical choices reinforce this ritual of death. The overused soul tracks during his hospital stay, the saccharine optimism of Don't Stop Believin', the sterile sound mix in the diner, all mock the idea of resolution. Chase gives the audience music to hum along to, but not comfort. The song doesn't end. It cuts out mid-beat. The screen doesn't fade. It dies. And yet The Sopranos refuses the easy nihilism of, he's dead, end of story. Chase is too clever for that.
The longer they stay with us.
The final silence isn't just Tony's, it's ours. For 6 seasons we've indulged in his moral decay, treated it like entertainment, analyzed it like scripture. When the screen cuts to black, Chase ends not just Tony's life, but our complicity in watching it. The audience dies with him because we've shared his delusion for too long. Season 6, then, is a mirror held up to both its protagonist and its audience. The first half shows us what Tony's death looks like. The second half shows us what it feels like to live after it. The finale merely closes the circle. The bullet fired by Junior and members only travels through time, finally exiting the barrel in Made in America. 20 years later, the ending still divides viewers who want answers from those who understand that the answer was given long before the last episode aired. Tony doesn't die at the end. He died at the beginning, and we've been watching the slow, hypnotic rot ever since. That's the final joke of The Sopranos. The audience kept waiting for Tony to die. Chase killed him right in front of us, then spent 13 episodes letting us pretend he was still alive. When the screen goes black, it's not ambiguity, it's mercy. We don't see it happen because we already did. The bullet already hit. We're just watching the echo. Subscribe.